guys, welcome back to Welcome Home Custom. Today we are going to learn how to assemble Fanorona. Let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and review some of the files that are included to make the game. First and foremost, we always have instructions. Instructions will include information like what the colors are used for. For example, I score a lot, which is going to be a line function for those that do not use Glowforge. Glowforge has a score function, but what it's basically doing is using your cut setting, but you are going to be moving it so fast and at a lower power that you are simply marking your wood. We are also going to be engraving for our magnets, and I will review that file in just a second. I also include information such as the different woods I used and any other information, like example would be the magnets that I used. So let's go ahead and open up the wood grave test. So let me hop over to Lightburn and we are going to open the wood engrave test. So what we are going to do is for each and every circle, we are going to assign a different fill. So we are going to first check our 1-inch box. We are 1 by 1 inch. If you are not 1 by 1 inch and you are using something like Lightburn, I do have a tutorial on my YouTube channel showing how to fix that. We are going to go ahead and delete this. So you can see I went ahead and added a bunch of different fill speeds and power. So 330 power, I did 320 power. Some of these have flipped back over. I used some of the colors for other things. I went up to even 200 with 80 power. And so I just wanted to see basically what is the best or how strong do I need to get my engrave in order to be able to sync those magnets. It's better to test it ahead of time and try it out rather than make the lid and then realize the holes aren't deep enough. So I highly recommend that you use this tool. Now you will have to enter in your own speed and power based off of your laser. I did not enter speed and power. They are going to default to whatever you've used these colors for in the past. So please keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. If we go ahead and import the other files, let's go ahead and look at the bottom file. This is what I consider cherry. For my purposes, I use cherry. If you scroll in, you will see that I have the lines doubled up. This is on purpose, and this is to make your score lines that much darker. So it may look like it's cutting twice. Please note that that is on purpose. And again, that is a score. All of the numbers are scored. And then your pieces are mirrored, and then they are also arranged to follow wood grain from left to right or right to left. If you have your wood grain running from bottom to top, you might not get the same feel from the file. Let's go ahead and open the next one. Walnut. This is your design portion of the board. This contains all the tracks that the pieces would move across. Now you could decide to cut this middle part a total of 3 or 4 different times in different woods and mix them all up if you wish. That is fine. But I found that using the number system makes things a lot easier, which is why I provided it that way. Again, your lines are doubled up, and that is, again, to make your score line more prominent. And you'll notice that I went ahead and have the score or the engrave for the magnets 2 different colors. That way you will engrave these first and then engrave these second so that your laser doesn't try to traverse back and forth, back and forth. Let's go ahead and open the mahogany and sapele. This is your tokens for one of the colors, as well as your lid. Now what I did for the lid was I went ahead and made it 2-sided. So the way you would do that is we are going to cut and engrave and score. And then the next time what we will do is we will carefully lift the lid and the pieces out. And then we are going to ignore red, and we're going to ignore blue, and we're going to ignore the aqua, and then we're going to run it again so that we're just scoring the black, okay? If you do it this way, you were going to want to flip your lid from left to right. Don't flip it upside down because your magnets might be a little off. It's better to flip them left to right. That is the lid portion. And then we have the light maple or birch. Again, it's got the numbered pieces flowing left to right, and it's got the lighter colored tokens. Again, what I did was I cut everything and scored everything, and then I ignored the red and the gray, flipped all the pieces, and then just scored the black on the back. All right, let's go ahead and jump into assembly. Okay, so let's go ahead and assemble our Fanorona game. When you open the files, you will have the walnut piece, which is basically your quilted piece. You could choose to cut this out of different woods and enter and change out your pieces if you wish. I personally like the walnut as the dark color because the game actually moves on those lines. So that's why I picked walnut for that one. This is my lid. You can see I actually scored the pattern on both sides. And then this is where our magnets are going, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. And then this is our base piece and all of our pieces that we use, our markers basically. So we're gonna move those off. We don't need those right now. And then I've got all these little triangles, which are kind of scattered throughout the different pieces. So I have the numbers scored on the back, and then we are going to lay them down with the numbers down. And what we're basically doing is taking our pieces and just finding the number and placing them in, okay? So first thing we really probably need to do is go ahead and place all of our pieces, and then I will show you the way I like to glue, and then we'll go to the next part. I did add a slight offset to every piece so they will fit snug into the frame of the walnut. One thing I would recommend is go ahead and sort your pieces in piles of 10. This will make placing your pieces that much easier. Trust me. So once my pieces are sorted, I'm going to go ahead and place them all into their spots. As you go along, you will notice that the wood grain is following each of the diamond patterns. I did this on purpose. I do hand nest the files so that we can use the wood grain to our full advantage and make really cool designs, not only with the colors, but also the way the wood grain flows. Okay, so that is a really pretty board. So now what we're going to do is we are going to grab some tape. I usually just use painter's tape, and we are going to use it to tape our pieces. This is so they stay in place, so that we can flip and glue all at once. Okay, so I have done that. Flip that over, and we are going to go ahead and add glue to this, I believe. I think that's the route we'll take. So we're going to add glue to this guy. I'm using just a silicone glue woodworkers kit. They have them on Amazon, where I got mine. And I am just going to dab glue all the way around. And then we are going to do dabbing all the way around the edge like that. And now we are just going to set it back on top. Go through and make sure that you are lined up. lined up. And then you can use the edge of this. It's got a scraper tool on the other side to go through and scrape any glue you see. And then what we'll do is we will go ahead and, looking pretty good, but I'm gonna go ahead and clamp it. You can either clamp it, you can weigh it down, doesn't matter how you do it. You just want it to be gluing as flat as possible. All right, I'm just gonna set that back there. Okay, so while we let that dry, we can go ahead and glue in our magnets. Okay, so I have these magnets. They're pretty strong, little boogers. And I like them strong because if the board has any sort of warping at all, it will hold the lid down flat. So that's why I like to use those. I'm also using E6000. I'm not using wood glue to hold in my magnets, but that's just what I do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some glue into the hole, and I have 2 magnets doubled up. I'm gonna push this down and then I'm gonna hammer it in. You want it to be as flush to the wood as possible. If you're worried about dinging up your wood, you can grab a scrap. This is a piece of scrap that I had from cutting off MDF, and I can hammer it that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other 3, and then we will move on to the next step. Next, place a second magnet on top of every magnet that is inlaid into your lid. And now we can go ahead and finish up the magnet assembly. I'm gonna go ahead and remove clamps, and I'm gonna remove my tape. And what we're gonna do is we are going to lay it right down, check our holes. We are gonna go ahead and add glue. Line it up. You can feel it sink into place. We're gonna now slide it sideways. And that is how we make sure our magnets all work with each other, positive and negative. You can see that doesn't go that way, but it does go that way. So I'm gonna sink up just a little bit more because they're wanting to raise up a little bit, and then we will go ahead and oil. Okay, so now we are going to oil. So I'm gonna use some Odie's oil. I just really started using Odie's oil. I'm using a cotton t-shirt scrap that I've cut up to apply the oil. It really does not take much. This stuff goes a very, very long way. It is extremely expensive, at least compared to some of the stuff that's off the shelf at your big box hardware stores. But so far I like it. I think my favorite thing is probably the smell is really nice compared to some other products that smell kind of stinky. All right, how pretty is that? So now we will go ahead and oil the lid as well. This is probably my favorite part of this whole video, is watching this wood grain just start to come to life. Adding this oil, this is, it's gorgeous. Love this wood. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay. So I'm just gonna lay that right on top and oil the top as well. Because I've got the magnets on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna lay it down. Maybe we'll kind of prop it up to dry. But I'm doing this in sake of time, I'm moving faster than I probably should. I'd really probably let everything dry before moving on to the next step, but this is just for time's sake. So now I'm going to go ahead and do all of the pieces as well. I somehow managed to delete that video, but I did go ahead and just grab some polyacrylic and sprayed both sides of the markers or tokens instead of oiling them. Okay guys, that's it. Hope you found this tutorial helpful. Make sure to subscribe to check out more tutorials like this. Thanks so much.